So really quickly, again, if you're told that b squared is equal to a, and you want to solve for b, you have to extract the square root. You get a positive and negative of that root. Okay? And if they ask you to just find the square roots of a number, you want to put it into this form. B squared is equal to whatever that number is, solve for b. Okay? So what if I ask you to find the square root of negative 4? What is that going to be? Is the answer going to be negative 2? Or is it going to be impossible? Again, think of it as b squared is equal to negative 4. Extract the square root. And what happens in your calculator when you take the square root of negative 4? Okay, so if you go square root, negative 4, enter, non-real. Does it make sense that it's not a real number? Can you multiply two numbers by itself or a number by itself to get a negative? No. So this would be undefined in the real number system. It's not a real number. Okay, it exists in an imaginary number system, but we aren't really going to talk about that. So you just call it undefined. Okay, what if I asked you to evaluate negative square root of 49? Can you find a value for this? Or is that undefined as well? Who says it's undefined? Who says it's negative 7? Who says positive 7? Okay. When you're looking at this, now this is no longer find the roots type of problem. It's asking you just to evaluate. So you have to use whatever sign is associated with it. They give you the negative, so all you're finding is the negative root, and you can simply find what is the square root of 49. It's the square root of a number is always going to be positive unless they're asking you to find the roots, in which case you're solving an equation. So here, your sign is negative. The square root of 49 is 7. Okay? And so again, if you use your calculator to evaluate this, the negative is outside the square root, 49. Hit enter, and it shows you or validates that negative 7 is the correct answer. Okay, so once again, find square root of 49 versus square root of 49. These are two different things, and you have to be able to distinguish between the directions of the problem. In this one, the answer is positive and negative 7. It's asking you to find these square roots, saying b squared is equal to 49. What are the values of b? Those are your square roots. In this case, or in this case, you have to find each one individually. The square root of 49 is 7. Negative square root of 49 is negative 7. Again, it's really subtle. But because this is the first way they present it, it often can cause some confusion in here. All right, what if I told you or asked you to evaluate this? These two numbers. And see if you can evaluate these. If we take the square root of 0.09, we get 0.3. And if we take positive and negative, or plus or minus the square root of 100, plus or minus, what is the square root of 100? Okay. So be aware of the different signs. Okay, the last thing that I want to talk about here before I stop are perfect squares. Do you guys know what I'm talking about if I refer to perfect squares? Perfect squares are integer values that are the result of a number being multiplied by itself. So if you think of that, what is 1 squared equal to? 1. So 1 is a perfect square. What is 2 squared equal to? 4. So 4 is a perfect square. What's the next perfect square after this?
16.
3 squared is? 9, and then what? 4 squared, 16, and then 25.
36. 49. 64. 81.
Okay, what about the next one?
100.
Good. Does everybody see all of those? Everybody get those? So be aware of perfect squares, because if you take the square root of a perfect square, bless you, it's going to equal the integer value. Okay. Again, you have access to your calculators, but you should be able to work with these numbers pretty quickly and be able to recognize any perfect squares. So if I gave you square root of 36, what's that equal to? 6. What if I said negative square root of 81? That's equal to negative 9. And so you should be able to see those quickly and answer them without having to refer or use your calculators.